Let's talk to someone who has a lot of experience talking to young people across the country. Right now, in fact, he's in San Diego seeing big crowds, and he is Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. Charlie, it's great to see you. You are perhaps the foremost person in the United States with exposure to young people. And if you'll forgive me, Charlie, you might be pushing the edge of still being described as young yourself. I think you're young, but you're talking to people much younger even yet than you, Charlie Kirk. What do you see when you go campus to campus? What do you see when you have these debates? What are you seeing out there in America?
Well, the crowds are incredible, and the support for President Trump is only growing on the front lines. And secondly, Will, they want a message of positivity. They want one of optimism. You look at what the Democrats are talking about. It is increasingly cynical. It is negative. It is drenched in nihilism. And you saw what President Trump, who, by the way, was in exceptional form at the University of Alabama, he was putting forward a positive vision of America. And I just love what you were talking about. What you were talking about is the contrast between what those of us that are conservatives, we have an uplifting message for America, one that is hopeful, one of family formation, one of church attendance going up, one of business ownership, of entrepreneurship. And think about the message of the Democrats. They say your country is racist, your past is terrible, your entire nation is irrelevant and should not really exist in its current form. They say you might die of climate change and that systemic racism is everywhere. What a depressing worldview. And you contrast that with the Trump agenda of tax cuts and no tax on overtime and no tax on tips and of course for older Americans, no tax on Social Security. We are going to see a optimism, a golden era. When I'm seeing on the front lines young people that finally believe that they can have their share and their shot at the American dream.
I like the description of it as the front lines, Charlie. As you're speaking, we're seeing massive crowds in front of you, for example, in College Station, Texas. I was reading about your events at Turning Point and your interaction with all these young people, Charlie, and you laid out 3 reasons you go to these campuses, 3 reasons you engage in these debates that are viral on TikTok, that all of our children have seen. And I loved your 3 reasons. Would you lay that out for us, why you do this, why you debate, why you go to campuses?
Yeah, most importantly, number 1 is to give the conservative students on campus, the Turning Point kids, conviction and understanding that they are not alone, that there's a lot more people on campuses that share these views, that share the conservative worldview and believe in liberty and freedom. And so number 1 is to give conviction to the conservative student who thought they were alone and to make them understand they're not alone. Number 2 is to challenge the lies, is to paint a picture that actually that the positions and the ideological monopoly the left has on these college campuses must be challenged, must be questioned. And what we do at Turning Point USA is we have an open mic. If you disagree, you can come to the front of the line. Anyone can ask those questions. And then number 3 is we create these discussions for people online. And so that they've been seen billions of times, as you mentioned, Will, on TikTok and other platforms. And they are reaching people right where they scroll on their smartphones, where they can see real, unedited, authentic conversations about the biggest issues of our time. Instead of just, someone sitting in a studio, they're seeing real, raw conversations and discussions. Those are the 3 major reasons we do this, and the impact has been culturally transformational. Yesterday, we were at the campus of University of California, San Diego, which is a very liberal campus in a liberal state, and we drew thousands and thousands of students there at University of California, San Diego. The movement is ascendant and growing, and everybody in this audience, I hope you understand, we are seeing the greatest generational shift since Woodstock. We are seeing a generation that was supposed to be liberal, supposed to be progressive, becoming increasingly conservative, and that is, for the Democrats, an existential dilemma for them and their political future.
But what a positive vision of America. Keep up the great work. Always great to see you, Charlie. Have fun in California.
Thank you, Will.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.